Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. The interview is part of my class project for Health Professions Leap 1140. Our goal is to document human stories about the COVID-19 pandemic. I've prepared some open-ended questions. There are no right or wrong answers. I'm just interested in learning about your experience.
Okay.
Okay, there's 10 questions. What drew you to this job and career?
I liked working with people. One of the reasons I went into social work was because there were a lot of options available. So if I got tired of, or if I wanted to try something new, I could always change fields within social work. So I could work with kids or adults or just a variety of opportunities.
How has your job and role changed since COVID?
Well, since I work in a school, the schools were closed. We didn't have any kids. So, and I was working from home. So I did a lot more of reaching out to families, working on our website, working on technic technology access for families, just really trying to do everything remotely, which was really hard when you don't have kids in school.
Mhm. What was a typical day or a week like in the last year before COVID started?
Before COVID,
Yes.
um, I would put together a variety of events or things to engage families, or just for kids. So events where we make sure we have kids have clothes, kids have food, kids have shoes, those kinds of things. And it might be a family literacy event, it might be a math event, really anything we could do to engage families. Um, so that might be before COVID, where we had a lot of as much interaction as we could.
How have those events changed since COVID started?
So any of the opportunities that we provide directly to kids hasn't changed a ton because it's just the kids, except for the kids that we have that are doing online school. So then it was more of trying to reach out or maybe doing a home visit. Um, but obviously, we are not doing any math events, family nights, literacy nights for families, any of those kinds of things.
How has the way you interact with the people around you at work changed?
We all have a mask on. It's really hard. I find myself trying to squint my eyes to make sure kids know that I'm smiling at them. Um, I shut my door a lot more because I don't want to have to wear my mask. And so if I shut my door, I can take my mask off, but then I don't hear the conversations that are happening outside of my door. Um, People don't always feel as welcome to come into my office until I'm like, come in, come in, come in. Um, so that's kind of changed a little bit in terms of interactions. But I will say that we have implemented a new communication system or app program with families. And throughout the year, I've been working on really trying to get families responding to the app, teachers to use the app on the one hand, and then families to download it or to respond to that communication. And that is steadily increasing. So hopefully that will carry on from year to year.
What types of community outreach have you done in the past?
Before COVID,
Yes.
um, some social media, a lot of uh, notes home, newsletters that were several pages long, um, skylarts, um, peach jar, just different, trying to reach out to families in a variety of ways.
How, oh, has community outreach been difficult due to the pandemic?
Yes. Um, it's just been different. So because we can't invite families in, we have to find a different way to reach them or to hold events or to um, make sure we're getting families the things that they need.
How has it changed since the pandemic?
I think I misunderstood your last question then.
Oh, how has it been difficult and how has it changed?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, it's been difficult because we can't do face to face as often, but it has changed then that um, we're doing a ton more trying to reach families. And I think when the pandemic happened, families realized two things. I think families realized how much more involved they need to be. I think, or that they can be in their child's education. And also, um, teachers realized, or the schools realized how much more they need to try to reach out and how important it is if we lose connection. Um, so it's been difficult, but I also think there's been some good things that have come from it because we've had to try different ways of reaching out and maybe they'll be more successful in the long run.
What challenges have you encountered while trying to perform a typical day's work?
Now, after COVID,
Yeah.
well, I can't have volunteers in the school right now, or very few. So that's been challenging. It's really changed the way we do some of our things, and the way we reach families or talk to families about coming in and being a part of their school day, but we can't do that now. So we have to look at that differently. Um, Really, a lot of the events and things that we hold, we can't have them that way. We're partners with United Way, and a lot of the things we do with them, like Day of Caring and Read Across America Day, are usually in-person events with tons of volunteers coming, and we work and organize and facilitate all of that. But obviously, that is not happening. Um, what was the rest of the question, or what was the question?
What challenges have you encountered during like a
Oh,
typical day?
that's right. Um, Constantly reminding kids to pull their masks up over their noses. Um, and I mean, part of that's just remembering their kids. It's hard. It's hard for adults, let alone kids. Um, those have been kind of the main things. I think if you would have asked me earlier in the school year, I might have had a different perspective. But as we've gone through the school year, we're so used to being around everybody that in some ways, other than the masks, you almost forget that there's a pandemic because we're in the midst of it. I think a lot of people that don't work in a school setting don't, or that are just have online school don't realize how much life is almost normal in school.
Mhm. How do you think the response to COVID-19 in schools has been addressed?
I think it's been different in each school district. I mean, if you look at Salt Lake County School District, they've obviously handled it very differently by only having online school. Um, I think schools, I mean, at least in our district, I really believe that they've done a, a really good job in trying to address all the daily changes or different direction from the CDC or from the governor or from the health department, and really taking all those things and looking at them and making adjustments. I mean, we've all had to be flexible. Um, so as far as changes, there's reminders to wash your hands and wear a face mask and Um, give yourself space from the next person. And we have tape on the floors showing you where to stand when you're in line, stickers at the tables, where to sit when you're at lunch so that you can be spaced out. I mean, there are so many things that are there that were not there before, but now they've just become part of our lives. And a lot of them, to be honest with you, aren't bad things. It's nice to give kids space at lunch. It's nice to have them stand a few feet apart so that they're not hands all over each other. We've had very little illness outside of, we haven't had a lot of COVID either. So just, I think everybody's being that much more careful, and we're not having the colds and the flu and things like that either. So
I just thought of this question that's not on my list, but do you know, or what is your opinion on the mask mandate not being a mandate anymore? How do you think that's
it,
going to be addressed in schools? Or
it
do you
still
know?
is a mandate in school.
Okay.
That part didn't change. I will be interested to see, because kids aren't going to be vaccinated for a long time, but school staff are some of the first people to be vaccinated. So it will be interesting to see if school staff, the adults, still have to wear masks if we've been vaccinated after a period of time, which in some ways makes it even harder to enforce with kids. If we aren't wearing masks, how can we expect kids to? So, I mean, I honestly think if we just go through the school year and keep it as is, that we're just better off that way.
What changes would you make to your own job to help deal with the impacts of COVID?
Can you say that again?
Yeah. What changes would you make to your own job? So if you could change anything about how your job has been affected by COVID, what changes would you make?
I don't know. Um, I mean, I definitely would rather have families welcome in the main part of the school and volunteers back and those kinds of things. Those are huge things. Obviously, that's a big part of my job is family engagement. So that's what I would want back. Yeah, I mean, and part of it is if we know that if we're wearing masks and people are been vaccinated, that we're that much closer to being safe to do those kinds of things.
Mhm.
I think a lot of it is public perception though. So like I know school districts have kind of this unwritten policy right now with media that they're not allowing any media in the schools. And I think that I could be wrong, but I think it has something to do with if there's anything, oh, look at that kid who just walked by without a mask. Well, then it's just creates even more chatter, media chatter, when they don't know the story and how much we've worked with that kid putting his mask on. Um, so I don't know.
And my last question is, how do you think this pandemic will affect the future of your career and the responsibilities that it entails?
Hmm. Like I said before, I think that there are always good things that have come that we've all learned and taken, I hope, from this experience. Um, I think that we've all become better at technology. Teachers have become better at technology. Families have gotten better at it. And I think those are all positive things because it was really hard to, especially with the population I work with, they don't have a lot of access to technology. And sometimes not a lot of, they don't use it on a daily basis. So it's more challenging for them to be comfortable with accessing Zoom or Google Meet or doing all those kinds of things on the computer, which for some of us is just natural, is something we do every day. Um, so giving a lot more people access and um, kind of decreasing that inequity across diverse populations, that's a positive that will come out of it. Increasing access to technology for everybody, because that really does make a huge difference in the ability of kids and families to be successful when they don't have equal access to the same thing everybody else does. Um, so those are positives. I think also teachers realize how much more how valuable it is when they have a connection with the family. Um, so we have these Fridays off, not off, but kids are not in school right now, and teachers have a block of time every Friday to reach out to families, and I think it's been a huge positive because they've developed rapport and relationships with those families so that kids can be successful when everybody's on the same page. So I think there's a lot of positives that maybe we don't look at, but we need to look at those things because I think it'll make us all better. It'll be for the better.
That was all of my questions. Do you have any comments you'd like to add about anything?
I do not.
Okay, well, thank you again for your time. This has helped me gain a greater understanding of your experiences during the pandemic. Would you like me to confirm with you any quotes I plan to use in my presentation?
Maybe.
Okay, I will
Sure.
confirm with you.
Okay.
And my project will be presented at the Undergraduate Research Symposium on April 6th, and we hope you'll visit this virtual event, and I will send you the link to it.
Sounds great.
Thank
Good
you.
luck. Thank you.